Hey y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and this is our WWE show for the week. Let's jump right into it. First we're going to do the so-so portions of the show. Basically the stuff that wasn't bad, wasn't good, it was just there. First off, one of the matches in the Intercontinental Tournament for the number one contender, Alberto Del Rio versus Rob Van Dam. There were a couple botches by Van Dam, and I'm a huge Rob Van Dam fan, don't take this the wrong way. Unfortunately, they took away from the match. Their matches they had at the late part of last year I thought were very good, actually. I was kind of looking forward to this. This is why I was a little bit disappointed. RVD picks up the win. Just not a thrilling match, which it could have been because I think Del Rio and Rob Van Dam styles match up very well. Next up, we had Ryback versus the Rhodes brothers. Again, could have been more. I think it's that they're going forward with a Ryback push as a tag team. I don't know that I believe them as a serious contender. They haven't been booked at all as such. Therefore, beating a team of the quality of the Rhodes brothers, kind of strange to me. It's just a weirdly placed match. Maybe if they build the team better, give them match and gear, better name maybe, I'd be more into it. Next, we also have another match from the Intercontinental Tournament, Jack Swagger versus Sheamus. Funny how just a few short years ago, these two guys were main event and pay-per-views as the World Champion and WWE Champion. Now they're kind of lost in the shuffle with the new emergence of new talent and the older talent that's still on top. Sheamus picks up the win, kind of expected that. Sheamus is like Cena light. He gets all the wins that he can on TV. Unfortunately, I think he's in desperate need of a gimmick change. I think he needs to turn heel. The heel Sheamus I really enjoyed. Face Sheamus I think is exactly what I said, a light version of Cena. It's like John Cena is Fruity Pebbles. Of course, we're stealing from The Rock here. And Sheamus is the Fruity Pebbles that come in a bag that are just called Fruit Diamonds or whatever. As you can see, he's the generic Cena to me. And I think they need to push him back to where he was a monster and it was believable that he was this badass brawler guy from Ireland and not this funny guy that throws a brogue kick. Just my opinion. Coming off of that, we're going to go into our bad segments of the night. First off, Alexander Rusev versus Xavier Woods. Apart from the fact that Lana came out and did her best Brigitte Nielsen from Rocky IV impersonation, I'm not believing it. It's not working for me. Xavier Woods, they've totally missed the ball on. Another reason why they need to have something for these guys to do if they're going to call him up. Rusev destroys him, destroys R-Truth after the match, who for some reason felt he needed to get back for Rusev destroying Woods. I don't know. But I see Rusev in that long line of characters like Vladimir Kozlov, almost call him Vladimir Kozlev, Ezekiel Jackson, these guys that they bring in and they're just big and they push them as monsters, even Ryback. Although I will say that Ryback has more charisma and personality than anyone else they've tried to use in a similar role. And it just doesn't work. They're pushing him like an 80s gimmick. Rusev is coming in like he's from like something that we've seen in the 80s, and it's not working for me. I don't know if it's working for you guys, but to me it's not. Next up, we have Damian Sandow coming out cutting a promo, which brings out Show, ends up with the Show knocking him out. Again, this falls in the do not like list because why? Why are they doing this to a guy like Damian Sandow, who has proven that he can get over with the crowd as a heel and probably a face if they felt like changing him to face. I mean, to me, it's one of the things that frustrates me so bad is that I see certain talent on the show that has it and has that charisma and the capabilities to be main event wrestlers, but they don't want to push someone on the same thing as Zack Ryder or Tyson Kidd. They have it factors that they stand out when you see them come on the screen. The difference between Tyson Kidd and Justin Gabriel is light years. In the ring, they're very similar. They're very evenly skill set matched, but Tyson Kidd just has that it factor, whereas someone like Damian Sandow has an it factor. I don't know what they're doing with this. I kind of hate that they do this break them down to build them back up thing, because you don't ever really forget the breakdown. It's something they're also doing with Dolph Ziggler, but on his end, you don't really remember him so much for the losses because of how great of a seller he is. Sandow, I'm not saying isn't, but just it's very frustrating to me. Last but not least in the bad segment, we had Emma and Santino versus Layla and Fandango. Now, you guys know I've been complaining about this feud for a while, with it being Fandango and Summer Rae who broke up over Twitter, and now Fandango has Layla as a dance partner. It didn't get any better. The only thing that changed was the heels won this time. Fandango, again, much like Sandow, is a guy that I think they could be doing more with. Emma is a diva that they definitely could be doing more with. She should be someone that's chasing Paige for the world title, or the Divas Championship, whatever you want to call it, and she's stuck in a silly feud like this. It's just some of the stuff they do is very frustrating to me, to be honest with you. Now, coming off of that, we're going to go into our question of the week from last week. The question was, who do you see being in the WrestleMania 31 main event? Now, we got some answers from our friends before we get into mine. First is from @AUP116 from Twitter. Question of the week, 8-man elimination. Cena, Roman Reigns, Orton, Batista, Bray Wyatt, Daniel Bryan, Lesnar, Cesaro for the WWE title. I don't know that they'd go with that. They seem to like to keep it at most a 4-way at WrestleMania. I don't think I've ever seen anything more than that. Maybe that could be an Elimination Chamber match. But it's a good, you've got everybody you would cover. The only thing I would worry is you have all your upper class talent in one match, and no lower matches on the card. Next is from Renee Pastora. I live in the Bay Area, just about 1 hour from the site of next year's WrestleMania. I will be there. This will be my second WrestleMania. I went to WrestleMania 26 in Arizona, and my choice for main event would be Daniel Bryan versus Bray Wyatt for the WWE title. Very solid match. Good consensus pick. You got the biggest heel right now and the biggest face at this time. Next up, we have Cyan Williams. Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar, or Undertaker versus Sting, with The Undertaker retiring with a win. I think he is going to come back for one more match just to take that bad taste out of our mouths, so he goes out winning at WrestleMania instead of going out losing. Maybe a rematch with Brock Lesnar I would go for more. To me, the ship has sailed on the Undertaker Sting match. If you watch TNA and have for the last few years, Sting, he is a shell of his former self. I doubt that he could even get himself into the area he would need to be to have a match with The Undertaker. But stranger things have happened. I've been surprised pleasantly several times by other matches that I didn't expect to be great. Next up is our friend Dizzle Pup. Cesaro versus Bryan. Pretty solid main event. I think a lot of people would be very excited to see that. And last but not least, our friend Closure Damas. Roman Reigns defeating John Cena for the WWE Championship. I thought about this, and I'm going to hate to say this because they might end up proving me wrong, but I don't see Daniel Bryan having a CM Punk long type over a year reign, or even a year reign going into WrestleMania. He just doesn't have the character to do that. Now, I'm not saying he's not going to be a top face. I'm not going to say that he's not going to win the belt again. I see him more of the traditional role for holding the title, where a wrestler would win the title around WrestleMania or at WrestleMania, keep it to around Survivor Series, lose it. That person would hold the belt from Survivor Series to Mania, then they lose it back to the next champion, so on and so forth. And of course, you got the random championship runs thrown in there, but basically everybody gets like a 6-month window. So I see Daniel Bryan losing the world title at or around Survivor Series. Not that that's a bad thing. Good, solid little run for him. And I think they'll move him out of the main event picture just for a little while so they can build up other main event stars. I think what we are going to see is exactly what my friend Closure there mentioned. The main event of WrestleMania 31, and I can't see any reason why it shouldn't be, is I believe would be Roman Reigns versus John Cena. A true passing of the guard. As much as I like Daniel Bryan, and don't get me wrong, I love Daniel Bryan. As much as I like guys like Cesaro, guys like Seth Rollins, all the guys from The Shield, Damian Sandow, the Wyatt family, the guy that's going to be the face of the next era of the WWE is going to be Roman Reigns. Mark my words on that. He has the look, the charisma, the in-ring ability, and the fan backing to do so. John Cena versus Roman Reigns is going to be a marquee match. I would love to see it as face versus face, a la Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan. I think it would be a great match, a great way to end the show, with Roman Reigns picking up the win, therefore cementing him as one of the faces in the new generation of WWE at that point. And hopefully the Shield goes on till close to Survivor Series or even Royal Rumble, with maybe Reigns winning the Royal Rumble. I mean, we've seen him beat Kane Streak. The only thing for him left to do at Royal Rumble is to win it. Something that they should have let Kane do a long time ago. But I digress. Coming off of that, our question of the week for this week is, we've seen the return of Evolution, and I know we haven't talked about it just yet. Historically, when Evolution was around the first time, you had the past, Ric Flair, the present, Triple H, the future, Orton, and Batista. Now, you have Triple H as the past, Orton and Batista as the present. It seems that they would need a future. Who do you think they should add to Evolution amongst the group of younger talent to be the future part of Evolution? Let us know what you think. Hit us up on Facebook, hit us up on Twitter. Put it down where? Down there in the comments. Right below there somewhere. Anyway, now we're going to go on to the good portions of the night. And the thing that I really enjoyed, was the Ultimate Warrior tribute in the beginning of the show. The segments highlighting the Warrior's career, and especially the way the Usos painted their face, where each one of them had half of the Warrior's face paint. A lot of the faces wore a Warrior t-shirt. I thought it was an act of class. I thought it was absolutely fitting. Bravo for the WWE for doing something like that. And when stuff like this happens, they are very good about stepping up and doing something of this nature, especially when it's a guy that's meant as much as he has to their company. So bravo to the WWE. Love the packages. Loved what they're doing with the Warrior. Love Warrior Week on the WWE Network. Now, coming off of that, we have Paige versus Alicia Fox. I know, we're surprised. There's a Divas match in the good section. Here's the thing, though. Paige is amazing. That move, the Scorpion Cross Lock, whatever they want to call it, that's an amazing move. The thing about it is she demands you to watch her wrestle. And that's a great thing. We need to bring the Divas division up where there's girls like her, like Lita used to be, like Trish Stratus used to be, like Victoria used to be, where they command you to not go and get a drink during their segment, where they command you not to go to the bathroom because you're going to miss something special. And she brings that back to the division. AJ Lee had that, but she really didn't bring it out of other wrestlers. Alicia Fox is a solid wrestler. This was a good match and a good way to keep us going with the new era in the Divas division with Paige leading the way. Coming off of that, we have a tag team rematch from last week. The Usos versus Batista and Orton. Match ends up getting broken up by the Shield interfering and attacking Batista and Orton, further moving on with their storyline, which sets up something for later in the show. I thought that was okay. I've said it before, I've said it again. Last week I wasn't a fan of it because they made the tag champions look weak. This week they didn't necessarily make the tag champions look weak. They were competitive with them, which I liked up until the point where the Shield interfered. So it was a little bit better way that they've used them this week. Next up, another match in the Intercontinental Contenders Tournament. Cesaro versus Mark Henry. And what a match. Cesaro continues to impress. There's no way around it. The guy, he's just physically amazing in the ring. He's a throwback wrestler. He connects with any generation. You could have put him in any promotion at any time. He would have strived in the AWA in the 70s. He would have strived in the WWE in the 80s. He would have strived in ECW in the 90s. And he's striving right now in the WWE in the 2010s. I mean, the guy has every tool you could want. His feats of strength are absolutely astonishing. It's only going to be a matter of time before the newest Heyman guy becomes the next Heyman guy to be a world champion. Coming off of that, we had our former world champion, John Cena, in a promo with the Wyatt family. Bray Wyatt did his normal amazing promo, which gave us John Cena and his normal corny comedy promo. The thing I dislike, and I hate when they do this with John Cena, I really do. I have no problem with John Cena the wrestler. Corny, making light of the situation, John Cena, I don't like. When you have a serious competitor, such as Bray Wyatt, such as The Rock, whoever it may be, John Cena needs to step up and deliver serious promos. When he's done it in the past, he's been spot on. This wasn't as bad. The Wyatt end of the promo carried it for me. John Cena did come into a little more seriousness at the end, but I think he needs to step the intensity level up. If he really wants to help Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family get over, that's what he'll do going forward. Now, next up, we have yet another match in the Intercontinental Contenders Tournament. Dolph Ziggler versus Wade Barrett. Bad News Barrett. He didn't quite get the reaction this week that he got last week. We seen that was more of a smarmy inside crowd, where this is your normal Raw crowd. Although Barrett picks up the big win. We always see this where Barrett goes away, comes back, gets a little bit of a push, and then it stalls. So hopefully this time they go forward with it. He's a guy that in NXT, the original incarnation, him and Daniel Bryan were the absolute stars of the show, and you could see that going forward they would be main event wrestlers. Hopefully, Barrett's taken a couple detours on the way. Hopefully this incarnation of his character with the bad news gimmick will get him to where he needs to be. Dolph Ziggler needs to get out of whatever doghouse he's in, because the guy can actually wrestle. I was kind of hoping he'd be a guy that would win the Intercontinental title, give us a former champion carrying it. They seem to be wanting to add prestige to the Intercontinental title going forward. And last but not least, the main event. The Shield were told to wrestle, and they were going to be surprised with their opponent. Well, their opponents ended up being Alberto Del Rio, Rybaxel, 3MB, Titus O'Neil, Fandango, Alexander Rusev, and Bad News Barrett. They end up beating the Shield down, which brings out Evolution. Triple H, Randy Orton, and Dave Bautista coming out to the old Evolution music. They lay the boots to the Shield, much like the Shield have done to everybody else. Setting up, hopefully, at Extreme Rules, we know we're going to have a confrontation between the two teams. Hopefully, we see what's been rumored, and I don't think it's going to happen, so I'm not getting my hopes up, is a War Games style match. I don't know how they're going to do it with Wyatt and Cena, Bray Wyatt and John Cena in a cage, but they might. I was very happy to see Evolution. I was a fan of Evolution the first time around, and I'm going to be a fan of them this time around too. Last but not least, I forgot to put it on the list, but we seen Kane pick up his mask and in a promo with Stephanie McMahon, so hopefully the monster Kane is back and we get rid of corporate Kane for good. And he's back to the character we all love and know. Now, we're running a little bit long, so I'm going to go right into the ratings for the week. We have a 1 to 5 scale. If you've seen the show before, you know 1's the worst, 5's the best. 1's a Khali, 2's a Santino, 3's a Sandow, 4's a Cesaro, 5's a Daniel Bryan. I gave this show a 3, a Damian Sandow. Kind of middle of the road. A lot of stuff I didn't like, some of the stuff I did like. But coming off of such a good Monday Night Raw, it was almost a letdown. I know they have to have peaks and valleys, and not every week can be WrestleMania week. But I wish they could. But anyway, that's basically what I have to say about that. My name is George Coles, and this has been another episode of Heel Heat.